This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another Patriots Drive podcast. It's been a little while, but we are back and we have quite a bit to talk about with the Patriots shift in draft position, a couple of the recent games, quarterback change. There's kind of been a lot going down since we last been on here, but I'm here with my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
Yeah, it's going good, man. It's been a disappointing season, but I think we're kind of getting into some of the time where we can start talking about free agents, maybe what the Patriots are going to do, depending on where they're going to be in the draft and stuff like that. So we are trying something new today. We're live on Instagram too. So our Instagrams that are on the screen right here we're also live on those pages. So to all of our Instagram viewers, we have the stream pulled up. We can see your guys' comments. We'll be replying to you guys too. And if you want to jump into our YouTube, the links are in both of our descriptions. You guys can subscribe to the channel there and follow all of our videos and content we do on there. So we're excited to have both our YouTube and Instagram audiences. But yeah, Cole, I mean, it's been a disappointing season. I don't know what way most Patriots fans sit, whether they want to tank or whether they want to be winning games, but we've had a little bit of both the last couple of weeks and stuff, and we'll see where we go the last 2 weeks of the season. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to talk about some free agents that the New England Patriots have coming up. So guys that we have on our roster that we think we should re-sign, or we'll talk about why we should let them walk. So let's start at the top. Tight end Hunter Henry. He is 29 years old. Spotrac has his market value right now currently at $7 million a year. Cole, what would be your kind of opinion on if the Patriots should re-sign or let Hunter Henry walk?
I think they should bring him back. I mean, nothing too crazy. He's 29, but you get him to another 2-3 year deal. He's been a guy who's been a great red zone threat and a great safety valve for Bailey Zappi so far. And having a guy like that you can rely on at tight end for a rookie quarterback, hopefully, if we can get one, which we'll get into later. But I think Hunter Henry's been great. And one of the biggest concerns with him when the Patriots signed him originally a few years ago was health concerns. And he just missed his first game in 2-3 years as a Patriot. So he has been a lot better in that sense. He's a lot more reliable. I think the training staff probably has a little bit to do with that as well. And the strength program that the Patriots instill here. But I like Hunter Henry a lot. I think he's been a great asset to this team this year. I know he had a down year last year, but even Mac's rookie year, he was great as well. So I definitely think he's really been the only tight end who's been productive. I know Farrell Brown's had a couple flashes here and there, but Hunter Henry's been one of the most reliable guys on this Patriots team all year.
Yeah, he's a guy that has 42 receptions on the year, 419 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's the last couple games or last couple weeks, he's kind of been what we thought he would be. And maybe that's because Bailey Zappi's been playing, but he's a great red zone threat and a guy that the Patriots should look to target more often down the field or in the red zone. And so I'm not against bringing him back. I honestly think it's more likely they bring Hunter Henry back than Mike Gesicki, which we'll get into here in a minute. But he still has a couple more years, in my opinion, in his prime. He's only going to be 30 years old going into next season. I think he's got an opportunity to still play 2 or 3 quality years, and whether that's with Bailey Zappi or with someone else that we draft this year or bring in free agency, I think it's important to have a guy like Hunter Henry that can catch the ball and make plays in the red zone, because we have seen what it's been like when the Patriots had a horrible red zone offense. So I would be on the train of bringing back Hunter Henry. I always thought that he should have been more involved in this offense than what he was, especially last year and maybe even at some points this year. So I'm all for bringing back Hunter Henry. I think that he's got to be one of those guys that you prioritize, because one, he would be probably one of the longest tenured guys on the roster that would be there. This is a pretty young team, and we are probably going to be signing a lot of guys with the cap space we have and drafting a lot of dudes. So keep some veteran leadership in there and let him continue to grow with whatever quarterback you have in there. I'm a Hunter Henry fan. I think that he should be back in with the Patriots this year, this offseason.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you there. Next guy on our list, I think maybe some people will feel different than I do about this, but Trent Brown, what are your thoughts on him, and if the Patriots try to bring him back?
I think that there's a more important offensive lineman on this list that we'll get to in a couple minutes, and that's why I'm almost on the verge of saying let walk, because of how disappointing he has been and how lazy and stuff and injury prone he has been. I think we need to find a younger left tackle, and I think that the offensive lineman we'll talk about, Michael Winu, can fit the need at right tackle, and we can build with the rookies we have in the interior, or find someone in free agency. So I'm on the train of letting Trent Brown walk. I was excited when we re-signed him, but I think he's just been full of disappointment since we've had him. So I think Trent Brown's one of the guys that needs to go.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I definitely do not want them to sign him. I feel a little more strongly about that. The lack of effort is astounding. I mean, he clearly has no interest in playing for this football team anymore this year. And I get it. Like, the Patriots have not been great so this year. Obviously, everybody knows that. They have a top 5 pick right now. But if Scarnecchia was still here, Trent Brown would be sitting his ass on the bench, or he would be locked in. I just Scar always had a way with Trent to get him motivated and figure out how to keep him engaged. But right now he doesn't care at all, and he doesn't hide it at all. Like, there were multiple plays going back and looking on film where he just stops blocking. Like Tyquan Thornton, that little screen pass that he had, it would have been probably a lot bigger of a play if Trent Brown actually ran and decided to block a couple people, but he didn't. He just stood there and just doesn't care. And the way he's been talking to the media, he has just been touching on the whole Malik Cunningham situation, and how just speaking out in ways that the Patriots haven't really loved for people to do in the past. So I think there's all the signs are pointing to him not being back. I don't think he should be back. He's about to be 31 years old. And if you got to worry about whether a guy's motivated every single time he goes in the field for him to be any good, he is causing more trouble than he's worth at this point. So I think they should definitely move on. I think there's hopefully some better options that we can touch on in another video draft for the left back position.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's got to be one that you look at cutting just because, or not cutting, but just not bringing back because of what he's produced. So moving on, injured guy on IR this year, but a guy that I think a lot of Patriots Nation loves, and I think I'm on the train to bring him back. Kendrick Bourne, he's going to be 29 next year, dealing with a season-ending ACL. What do you think about Bourne?
I love KB. I mean, not only one of the most productive wide receivers outside of, I mean, everybody knows year 2 was an anomaly in this system as far as the Mac Jones timeline goes. Kendrick Bourne in year 1, Mac's rookie year, and this year had been great. He was Mr. Reliable. He's one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. And I hate that he got injured. I think that's probably going to drop his market down a little bit. I think you can probably get him at a better cost, which stinks for his life. But as far as business goes for the Patriots, if they can get him for a little cheaper, and you never know how people are going to come back off an ACL. So knee injuries are not great for wide receivers. We'll see how he bounces back from that. But I have no problem giving him another 3-year deal and letting him stay here for hopefully the next quarterback. And you'll have 2 pieces on the team with Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne. I know Devontae Parker is extended and Tyquan's still here, but if you can kind of build your offense around KB and Demario Douglas and then go get that number 1 wide receiver, whether it's free agency or the draft or however it falls, I think that puts you in a pretty good spot. And then you got some depth pieces where you don't have to worry about guys going out there and performing every week, where you can't trust a Tyquan Thornton to go do that. You can't trust a Devontae Parker to go do that week in and week out. He has games where he goes and mosses everybody, and we end up getting a couple big plays that win us the game against Denver this week. But then there's other games where he doesn't make those plays. That's why it's called a 50-50 ball. He's a 50-50 receiver. He's good at those type of plays, better than most, but that's not super reliable for an offense. So I would love to get a number 1 wide receiver and then re-sign KB, and then you got Demario Douglas, who is just a jitterbug. Keep those guys in this offense and see where it can go with a new quarterback, hopefully, in a better O-line.
Yeah, James Eli 84 on my Instagram feed is saying re-sign Kendrick Bourne. He also says Demario Douglas is going to be special. I agree. I think if you go in with Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas, and then you re-sign Hunter Henry also, that's a good solid core. You still need that wide receiver 1, whether you get that in the draft or whether you sign someone or maybe make a trade. I mean, we'll talk about what's going on with the GM coach situation, I'm sure, a lot throughout the offseason, which will probably be a big tell of what the Patriots are going to do with this roster construction. So we'll talk about that. But I think if you have those 3 pieces, plus, obviously I think Juju's going to be here just because of his contract and Devontae Parker, and then Ramondre will be coming back. I think that this is a team that, could make strides. You got to improve the offensive line drastically, and you have to find someone, whether that's Bailey Zappi or someone in the draft, to deliver the ball to them. But I think that that would be a very good starting point for the Patriots with a young quarterback and guys that have been in this situation or been in this team and this scheme and stuff with Bill O'Brien and Bill Belichick, and have some opportunities to grow. So I agree. I think Kendrick Bourne should be back. We already talked about one tight end. Let's talk about another one. Mike Gesicki. He's only going to be 29, so he is a year younger than Hunter Henry. A little bit of a disappointing season here, but he has shown flashes. What do you think about Mike Gesicki being back with the Patriots?
I'm pretty astonished how little we've heard his name and how little we've seen him. He just hasn't really been very involved in this offense. I thought 2 tight end sets, and with the Bill O'Brien offense, I thought he would be a lot more involved than he has been, but you just really haven't seen him. He doesn't even get like a catch a game. It feels like he gets 1 catch every 2 games, maybe a couple, one game and then none another game. He's not super involved. I don't see a reason why he'd necessarily want to be back here, and I don't really see a reason the Patriots should keep him around because he just hasn't had a lot of production. And
yeah,
that's pretty much it for Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, I wish he was better than what he was. I think we both had high hopes, and a lot of Patriots fans, but we haven't seen that. Maybe he doesn't have a big market, and you bring him back again on another 1-year kind of prove it deal, and maybe Bill O'Brien gets him more involved. Maybe with a young quarterback or a different signal caller, you have a little bit more success with the 2 tight end sets. But I honestly think that, and I know this isn't true, but I feel like there's been more big plays out of Pharaoh Brown than there has been out of Mike Gesicki.
There absolutely has.
I don't think that Pharaoh Brown's better than Mike Gesicki. It's just you're looking and you're like, I think that there's maybe a little bit more kind of big plays out of the Pharaoh Brown camp. So moving on, secondary's been banged up this year. What do you think about bringing back Jalen Mills? I know they talked about moving him to safety. He's kind of been in that limbo mode where he's had to do a lot just because of the JC Jackson situation, Jack Jones getting cut, Marcus Jones, and then Christian Gonzalez. But what do you think about Jalen Mills?
Just real quick, touching on the whole Pharaoh Brown, Mike Gesicki thing. Mike Gesicki, 204 yards receiving this year on 24 catches. Pharaoh Brown, 11 catches, 203 yards. So he has 13 less catches, but 1 less yard. So, I mean, if you can just have Pharaoh Brown, who is more versatile as a blocker as well, I mean, I just think it doesn't make a ton of sense to bring back Gesicki. But Jalen Mills, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I think he's been fine. He's about to be 30 years old. So if you can find a spot for him in this defense, I'm okay with keeping it. I'm okay with keeping most of this defense intact because it's been phenomenal. I don't know. I think I'd be okay with him staying, but I think that safety room is pretty packed. And if you're going to move him back to corner in some aspect, he might be able to fit in there. But with Gonzalez coming back and probably John Jones staying, and I don't think there's a ton of room, but you can never have too much depth at those positions because once you start losing those guys, as we've seen in previous years, it never hurts to have those depth pieces in the defensive back room. So I wouldn't mind either way, but I'm okay with bringing him back if they feel it's necessary.
Yeah, and I think this one's a little dependent on a guy that we'll talk about here in a minute with Kyle Duggar. But I think if Kyle Duggar comes back, which, I mean, well, I guess we'll just go into him next, even though he's a little bit down our list. I think Kyle Duggar should be back with the Patriots, and I hope they don't let him walk. I think that it makes it less likely Jalen Mills comes back because, like you said, you're going to have all those guys come off of IR next year. You're going to have Jabril Peppers. You're going to have Kyle Duggar. You're going to have Adrian Phillips. You're going to have guys like that on this team that can probably do probably a better job than what Jalen Mills can. And Jalen Mills is a great Swiss Army knife. I think that's why he's had some value on this team and in this league is because he can play safety and he can play corner. So there's an opportunity for him to kind of fill in where needed. Maybe that's what gets him on a contract again. But yeah, I think that there's guys ahead of him that are better at what they do, and they just got to get off IR and got to get healthy. So I don't know if Jalen Mills kind of has a role, especially if they bring back Kyle Duggar. Let's get into this. I think Kyle Duggar's got to be one of the top priorities this offseason. Do you agree with me?
I don't necessarily disagree. I don't feel strongly about it just because I think his market's going to be good because he's a talented athletic player. I love Jabril Peppers. I think Jabril Peppers has been just as good, if not better, than Kyle Duggar this year. And the amount of passion and the amount of physicality he brings to this defense and the energy and just his attitude. Jabril Peppers I have been a humongous fan of him this year. Like, he has grown on me a lot over the course of the year, and he just continues to do it. And I am okay with Jabril Peppers being on this team. If they feel like that money from Kyle Duggar, if it's either Kyle Duggar or T. Higgins, who are you going to go with? Who would you prefer?
Is it likely we get T. Higgins? Because obviously T. Higgins, but I think it's going to be more money to pay T. Higgins also.
I agree. But if you know what I mean, I'm just saying, I know they have no excuse. They have plenty of cap space. But if this is what they're thinking, oh, we have Jabril Peppers under contract for another year, and I would like them to extend him. I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's bounced back from his injury a couple years ago tremendously, and he looks way better this year than last year. He's all over the place. He lays the boom all the time. I mean, he's incredible. He has really surprised me and has been one of the most valued players in this defense. Obviously, Kyle Duggar is young. He's athletic. He is a playmaker. He's made a lot of big plays in the past. I would love to have Kyle Duggar back, but I am okay with him leaving if they extend Peppers and mix things up a little bit back there, and they use that money towards getting an actual wide receiver or something like that. I want Duggar to stay. He's a great player, but I would have some understanding if they let him go because of what they have in that room with him.
And I get what you're saying, but I think the Patriots are so good at having so many unique bodies, kind of like Marte Mapu. And I think Marte Mapu has came out and played a lot better than what maybe he did at the start of the year, and he's been playing more, right? And especially special teams. So maybe Marte Mapu grows into the Kyle Duggar role. But I think it's so beneficial for the Patriots to have someone like Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers, Marte Mapu on the field at the same time because of what it brings for all of them. I think that's what, if Bill Belichick's still the coach, what he's going to want to do. And so I value Kyle Duggar. I think that what he can do in multiple different schemes, whether it's stopping the run, blitzing, playing man coverage, I think he's versatile. I like what he brings. I'm all for bringing back Kyle Duggar. And James Eli 84 again mentioned something. He's talking about how Christian Barmore should be the number one priority. He's extension eligible, but he's not up this year. There's no doubt that the Patriots got to lock him up. I mean, we're just talking about guys that have a possibility of not being on the Patriots roster this year. If the Patriots don't re-sign, or they don't have to give Barmore the money this year, they could wait till next offseason. Now, should they give him the money now? Probably, because he's playing like one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. But I think
also
that
might
Kyle
be when
Duggar,
his market's his value's highest. You know what I mean? Say he starts to slow down a little bit next year, gets hurt, you might have a better window. But you also don't want to wait until the last minute and let him sniff free agency.
For sure. So, I mean, I'm all for bringing back Kyle Duggar. I think that what the Patriots defense can do and what they want to do kind of revolves around guys like him, Jabril Peppers, Marte Mapu, Adrian Phillips, and you can never have enough of those bodies. And so I think that he's got to be someone that they prioritize in the offseason. Another guy that I think they should prioritize will stay on the defensive side of the ball. What do you think about Josh Uche? Now, I think people were maybe a little bit higher on Uche a couple years ago after his huge season, and this year maybe a little less. Now, that could play into Matt Judon's out, so maybe more attention's going to Uche. But what do you think about the Patriots re-signing Josh Uche?
I've never been, I don't know. Uche, I feel this year he's developed into a more well-rounded player. I think his stats hasn't flashed as much, but I think he's shown better. He's been just a better overall player this year. More well-rounded, fits the role better, doesn't care as much about just pinning his ears back and getting to the passer. He's okay with trying to set the edge a little bit more. I like Uche. I don't know if a team will love his pass rush ability and overpay him. I think the Patriots could get outbid. I don't want to go crazy for Uche. I don't think he's at the same level as a Matthew Judon, where right now his market value on this website says $14.5 million. I think that's a little steep. I know the edge rushing group and pass rushers are getting paid a lot of money. I feel like that's a little steep. I feel like a guy who we haven't talked about yet, but is also a free agent, Mac Wilson, has kind of molded into that role recently. They've started to use him more in that aspect, and he's looked really good. I mean, he made a couple big plays against the Broncos this past week. I think that could be a guy that is a lesser version of Uche, but could kind of fill the same role. And if you keep Judon, and I'm sure he's going to want to restructure his deal like he did this past offseason, but if you do that and he stays around and you can get Mac Wilson back on a cheap deal and he can kind of fill that role, I wouldn't mind that either. I don't. I mean, I don't want to lose Uche. Excuse me, Uche and Duggar. I would rather have Duggar, I feel like, than Uche. But they're both good young players. I'm worried that the market's going to get a little high for him.
Yeah.
Just because teams get excited about sack numbers, and he had a lot last season, and now this year he's kind of playing more of a well-rounded game, and we'll kind of see what his market does. But if it doesn't get unreasonable, I would love to have Uche back. Him on the other side of Judon is great.
If he were to sign for $14.5 million a year, that would be about $1 million more than what Judon is currently at right now. So I agree. I think that what you're saying is very fair, and I think it is very important on the defensive side to have guys that can get to the quarterback like Judon and Uche can. Now, with Judon hurt, he's been demanding more attention. I think that he's someone that the Patriots should look to bring back too. Again, I think that number could definitely climb for sure. Like it could get to 17, 18 million. And that's probably when I'm like, yeah, we'll let him go. I do think another guy that's been playing good, that's going to be a free agent. You mentioned Mac Wilson. I think Anthony Jennings has been playing pretty good. I think that he's a guy that you look at that's probably cheaper than Uche, but a guy that's been doing having a lot of production, and a guy that you look to bring back. So yeah, if maybe you can get Mac Wilson and Anthony Jennings back for the same number, you could get Josh Uche back.
Probably
you bring
cheaper.
back those. You bring back those two guys and you say, this is where we're going to get the Josh Uche production. Matt Judon will be back. Hopefully Keon White continues to bring something. And then maybe you find a 4th or 5th round pass rusher like the Patriots always seem to do. You can always go and sign a vet too. Jadeveon Clowney's a guy that I've heard that the Patriots could be rumored to want to sign. He's a free agent. Maybe he wants one more payday. You go sign him for a couple million, give him a one and done deal. I don't know. There's going to be options out there, especially in the pass rush market, that maybe you don't have to pay, like you said, Josh Uche, 17, 18 million dollars. So I don't think he's as important as I wouldn't put him in my top 3. If I were to say who would be my top 3 guys, I think the Patriots should resign, but I think he could be one of those guys up there just because of he is a very special pass rusher, and when he doesn't demand all the attention. And honestly, if you're telling me on third downs you have a pass rush set of Matt Judon, Josh Uche, Christian Barmore, that's scary. Like I want that on the Patriots. I want to deal with that, but it's probably not likely because, like James Eli said in my stream, and we've talked about here, is you got to prioritize re-signing Barmore. So maybe that does mean letting Uche walk. So
yeah, I mean, you also have Keon White coming up as a young player, and he's shown some flashes as well. So I think they have some young talent and some cheap role players who can fill those spots well. So I would have no problem with that as well. You want to touch on anybody else on the defense, or you want to over to the offensive side?
Yeah, let's move to the offensive side. MA football guy, what's up? Good to have you back. Sorry we've been stingy lately. Guys, if you guys haven't or didn't watch our last video, I'm going to be doing a mock draft Monday every Monday until the draft. So I'm going to come out with probably 3-round mock drafts for the first couple weeks, and then I'll progress into 4, 5, and then a full 7-round mock draft. Cole's going to come on whenever he has time to. And again, we'll still be doing live stream. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube, whether you're on Instagram right now or YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. We're excited to have you guys here. So yeah, let's move to the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the running back situation first. Let's talk about Zeke. What do you think about the Patriots bringing back Zeke right now? He was on a 1-year prove-it deal for $3 million. They're projecting him to be right around 3 again on Spotrac. Would you like to see Zeke back with the Patriots?
If it fits for that number, absolutely. I mean, Zeke has been great. I mean, that hurdle had flashbacks to like 2018 Zeke when he was rolling with the Cowboys, hopping in the red Salvation Army bucket in Cowboy Stadium. I mean, he's been awesome. I would love to have him and Ramondre 1-2 punch again back next season. I think it's great. I think it keeps both guys fresh. I think he's a good balanced piece with Ramondre. He's been good in the passing game. Ramondre's been pretty decent. I know he's hurt and he's done for the year, but overall, I would love to see those two back, and maybe you get a true pass catching back somewhere later in the draft or something like that. Maybe there's somebody in free agency you can grab, but those two guys in a like 40-40 rotation and then having a pass catching back somewhere mixed in there, I think would be absolutely perfect for this next season. So I would love to keep Zeke if his market doesn't go crazy. I think he's going to have some good opportunities though, because he has looked phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. If it's around $3 million, and I really do think Zeke's liked it here. Like, I think he's spoken highly of the organization. He was excited to be here. I think there's a dang good chance that Zeke wants to be in New England. So if you can get him for a cheap number, I would even say I'd probably pay him $4, maybe even $5 million a year to come back to the Patriots. For maybe you pay him 2 years, $10 million. Like, I'd take him. He's only now I know running back age is a little different. He's going to be 29 next year. So if you can sign him for 29 and 30, and then maybe he starts regressing after he's 30, I'm fine with that. I'd love to see him and Ramondre. I think we kind of got robbed of that kind of tandem just because of the injury to Stevenson, but I think it saves you from really having to elevate Kevin Harris into an extended role, which I don't know if he's quite ready for, or you don't really feel like you have to go draft a 4th or 5th round running back. You could continue to wait on that or continue to develop Kevin Harris and let him be there. So yeah, I'm all for bringing Zeke back. And again, a lot of this is kind of dependent on what the Patriots do outside of who they bring back and keep in house. Cause we do have a ton of cap space. It's like over 100 million, right? I mean, I'm sure the numbers change a little bit. We don't have the exact number, but like, I would like to see the Patriots at least retain some of these guys that have been good for us right now, even though we've had a down season, and then look to branch out into the trade department, or, look to grab a couple guys from other teams off the market. So yeah, I think you got to keep the guys that have been playing good for you in-house first. So yeah, I'm all for bringing Zeke back. I'd bring him back for 2 years, 10 million. If that was a valuable number, if that's kind of what he wanted, I would say for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Next guy who is one of the bigger guys as far as offense goes, Mike Onwenu. He's been playing guard most of the year, and then they finally switched him to tackle, even though we've been begging for that forever. And he's been good. I mean, he's been solid. You haven't heard his name called a lot. He had one bad game. I can't remember who it was against, but then the very next week against TJ Watt, he shut him down, which was incredible because TJ Watt is a menace. So I think Onwenu should absolutely be back. I think he should stay at right tackle. I think that's serviceable. You keep him there. You address maybe the right guard and left tackle positions in the draft or free agency, however you want to address it, or trades. I think that you're looking pretty solid for next year. I mean, David Andrews is still playing good. Cole Strange was looking a lot better before he got hurt. He was really starting to come into his own. And then if you can get some type of solid left tackle, maybe round 2, we'll touch on that, I'm sure, throughout the offseason here. But I think Michael Onwenu should stay at right tackle. And I don't think he's going to cost a ton because half the teams might see him as a guard who are interested in him. So if you can pay him as a right tackle, you might have to pay him a little bit more. But if you can get him to stay here, and we got a report that he was interested in staying here the other day. So I would love to have Michael Onwenu back. He's a great player and a versatile. I mean, he can swing at guard or tackle wherever you need him, depending on if there's ever any injuries. So I definitely think he should be back.
I think he's the best offensive lineman on the team. So why let him walk? Like he's got to be, and he's only 26 years old. Like, you sign him for 4 or 5 more years. He'll be there till he's 31. I was more encouraged with Cole Strange, like you said, before he got hurt. I'd be fine continuing to develop Mafi or Sal at right guard, keep David Andrews at center, and then Jake Andrews developing. And then all you have to do is fix that left tackle position. Now, yeah, if you can go trade for a top tier guard or right guard or something, you go do it. But I think that Mafi and Sal have shown that they can at least hold their own there. And then hopefully Cole Strange comes back from IR and, is playing what he was before he got hurt. Then you really only have to address the left tackle position, which we'll get into, whether we're drafting 4th or 5th. I think that that's kind of the perfect opportunity to get a franchise left tackle, although it's probably not what Patriots fans want. you'd be sitting right there with an opportunity to take a left tackle for he would be a franchise left tackle in Olu Fashanu. And even if you wait until the second round, say you take a receiver or a quarterback in the first round, even if you wait to the second round, I think there's going to be guys that will touch on, Patrick Paul and Jordan Morgan. Maybe they sneak into the first round, but I think there's opportunities to draft a franchise left tackle, especially with the Patriots winning last week and now being out of the top 2 picks and probably out of the Caleb Williams, Drake May sweepstakes. So, yeah, I think you got to look to re-sign Michael Onwenu. And so since we've kind of talked through all of our guys, Cole, this is kind of what I was going to ask you, and I'll get into mine. If you had to pick your top 3 guys to re-sign out of the guys kind of we just listed, what would it be? 1, 2, and 3? Who would you rank above, and who would be the top 3 guys?
Are you doing this as far as in value terms, or just best 3 players I want to see stay?
Yeah, let's just go best 3 players you think for next year are going to be the best 3 players that the Patriots can keep on this roster.
I'm going to go Mike Onwenu 1. I mean, I think Duggar is a great player.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you're in terms of best player, I would put Duggar right there as well, and then maybe Hunter Henry. But in terms of like value purposes, I think you got to keep Mike Onwenu. I think that's a must. And then I think bringing back Kendrick Bourne. And I think one guy we didn't touch on, Miles Bryant, would be good as well. I mean, everybody loves to hate on Miles Bryant, but he is a smart, instinctive football player, and he is awful in man coverage. I don't know why they continue to try to use him against some of these guys that they know we can't cover. But as far as zone coverage and playing smart football and being physical for his size, Miles Bryant has been really solid this year. So I think he's somebody they should re-sign as well. I just wanted to kind of throw him in there just to give him some love, but Zeke as well has been super impactful, and spells Ramondre. I think that's super important to keeping a running back healthy. So I'd probably go Onwenu, Kendrick Bourne, Zeke as far as like value goes.
So I agree with you. Michael Onwenu would be my number 1. I value Kyle Duggar just because of what I think the Patriots want to do defensively and how good he is. And then I would agree with you with Kendrick Bourne. It would be a close third there with Zeke. I think he'd be there, and Hunter Henry. If you were to say Kendrick Bourne didn't get re-signed, but Hunter Henry re-signed, I'd be like, okay, that's pretty. I want one of those guys back. Ideally, both of them. I think one of them for sure. Like you said, Zeke would be up there, but I don't think he's a necessity, because I do think if he continues to ball out these last 2 weeks, he could get a little bit more from some other teams that the Patriots won't want to spend. And I am a little surprised sitting here looking. I do want to re-sign Uche, but I think with the emergence of Christian Barmore, it's just looking less and less likely that you're going to allocate that much money to both him and Matt Judon and expect to sign Christian Barmore for the big payday he's probably going to be earning in the next in the next year or so. So I think that it would be very similar to what you were with Michael Onwenu, Kyle Duggar, and then Kendrick Bourne. But there's a lot of talent on this team. That's what's kind of crazy. Is like you look around and the Patriots have been so banged up this year. Like I'm looking at their depth chart right here on ESPN. It's like there's like 3 guys on both sides of the ball that are instant starters if they're healthy, right? Ramondre, Kendrick Bourne, Cole Strange. I mean, I know he's had his struggles. And then on defense, you have Judon, Marcus Jones, and then Christian Gonzalez. Those guys are all, on IR. So this team has talent. They have a foundational piece. They got to get better. Like no one's saying this is a top 10 team in the NFL. It's maybe not even a top 15 roster in the NFL. They have room. They have to improve, but there's foundational pieces that you have to re-sign this year that I think make it easier going into like the free agency with other teams and the draft that make it easier so you don't have to just fill all these positions at once. So I'm excited. I hope they get some of these guys back. I don't want to see, everyone go, because there are guys on this team, like you said, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry. I love them. I think that they're great players. They've been Patriots for a long time, and I'd be super excited to see them to continue to stay with the Patriots. Yeah.
I mean, thinking about Judon and Gonzalez, even just those two coming back on the defense side of the ball with how well they've been playing, that's super exciting. That's very exciting to think about. But definitely they've had some tough breaks this year, some tough injuries, but that's kind of why they're in the position they are, and hopefully end up being in a position to take a top QB that can change their franchise in the draft. So we'll see what happens. I mean, that's kind of what happened with Burrow and the Bengals. They drafted Burrow. He got hurt his first year. They ended up with a top 5 pick that got them Jamar Chase, and it changed the outcome of their future forever. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL now. So stuff happens for a reason, and hopefully the Patriots can get something good out of this year and turn it around faster than we think.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to get in, talk some draft real quick, just talk about what happened with the Patriots since they have fallen to the 4th overall pick. But before we do that, we're going to get into an ad by Underdog Fantasy. If you guys want to support the channel, make sure you pay attention. If you're into sports betting too, over, unders, player props, whatever, make sure you pay attention to the Underdog ad. We appreciate them for sponsoring this. And after this ad break, we will get right back into some draft talk. Real quick, guys, we'd like to thank today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. With Underdog's NFL Pick'em, they make it super easy to win big on any given night. They have individual player props or daily fantasy and are legal in 41 of the 50 states. Right now, they are doubling your first deposit up to $100 when you use code PATSDRIVE or use the link in the description. All you have to do is select higher or lower and submit your wager for as low as $1 to win anywhere from 3 times to 20 times your money. You can also compete against thousands in Underdog Fantasy's daily fantasy tournaments ranging anywhere from football to baseball to basketball. Whatever sport it is, there's a tournament for you. Now with Underdog's Pick'em Insurance, you can still win money even if one of your picks does not hit. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Make sure to use code PATCHDRIVE or use the link in our description to get started today. All right. Yeah. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for doing that. Again, guys, use the code. Go help us out, support the channel, and subscribe to the YouTube. So, Cole, let's get into it. Patriots have won 2 of their last 3. I never thought I'd say that. And they're sitting at 4-11. They are currently the 4th overall pick. You got Carolina at 1, who's 2-13. Obviously, the Bears own that pick. Arizona at 3-12, picking second. Then Washington at 4-11. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, why aren't we picking before Washington? Because they beat us. It goes off of strength of schedule. So the Commanders have a worse strength of schedule as of right now. Now, that could change because they do play the Cowboys and the Eagles their last 2 games. So that could definitely change. And the Patriots will play the Jets. So the Patriots at 4, and then you got the Giants at 5, Chargers at 6, and the Titans at 7, all with 5 wins. So, Cole, first off, what do you think about the Patriots winning 2 of their last 3 and now sitting at the 4th overall pick? Oh, Cole, you're muted. There we go.
I understand people feeling either way. Like, it's really hard as a Patriots fan to root for the team to lose in any circumstance. So I completely understand if you feel that way. I completely understand if you are all about the tank and are invested in the future of this team more than just the current. Personally, I would love to see us have one of those top 2 picks so that we could have the pick of one of the top 3 quarterbacks who potentially could change our franchise and run this franchise for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Obviously, that's exciting. The draft is also a crapshoot. Quarterbacks, you never know. People take them all the time in the top 5 and they don't pan out. I mean, we just saw Zach Wilson, Trey Lance just a couple years ago. So you never know, but you'd like to have the opportunity to draft one of these elite talents that are widely considered one of the best in the class. And the class isn't always as good as it is this year. I really hope the Patriots don't fall further than they are right now. I think we're probably going to beat the Jets. I think the Bills game, you never know. The Bills are playing better, but they almost just lost to the Chargers, who are awful, and they didn't have Keenan Allen or Justin Herbert. So, along with Mike Williams, who's been gone for a while. But that doesn't change the fact that if you do get in the 4 to 6 range, there's no reason why, if you see one of these quarterbacks and you think he's going to be the future of your franchise, you need to go trade out for him. There's no excuse if you're sitting at 4 to say, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see if anybody falls to us. Go get your guy. If you think Drake May is the future of this franchise, go trade up to 2. Go trade up to 3. If you think Jaden Daniels is the future of this franchise and he's going to not be there at 4, trade up to 3, trade up to 2. Do what you need to do to get your guy. I don't think it's going to cost that much if you're at the 4th, 5th pick to trade up to 3 or 2. I mean, if you want to trade up to 1, it's going to be probably more, but I don't want them to go and use all the draft capital in the world like the Panthers just did. But they need to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft this year. They have to. Next year's draft class doesn't look as good. And unless you want to be in the same spot, I don't think the Patriots are going to be as bad next year. I mean, they're starting to find a little rhythm now. So if they spend all this money and we're right back in the middle, but still have no quarterback and Zappe is the guy, Zappe's not the guy. Zappe shows flashes, but he's way too inconsistent to be a franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's how I feel. So I think you need to go get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. Preferably if you lose the next 2 games, that'd be great. That puts you in a decent spot where you might sneak over Washington and you're guaranteed one of the top 3. But either way, even if they win one of the next 2, even if they win 2 out of the next 2, if you have a top 7 pick, you need to go get one of those top quarterbacks. I love Jaden Daniels. Drake May is widely considered right behind Caleb Williams. I don't like Caleb Williams' attitude and some of the things that he's said. Not a big fan of that. Drake May, I have a little bit of concerns about him. Jaden Daniels is a super exciting watch on tape. He makes a lot of really good plays, and it'd be really fun to see the Patriots offense with that guy at the helm. But any of those 3 quarterbacks are franchise caliber guys who have a tremendous amount of really good college tape and would go top 5 or top 3 in damn near any quarterback class of the last 5 years. So I think you're in this position. You don't want to ever be in this position again. Go take the guy that you think is the guy. And if he doesn't hit, then you'll end up back in this spot and you can take one in the future. But being okay with mediocrity at quarterback and investing a lot this offseason into making this team a playoff contender just to fall in a top 12 to 14 pick, this is the highest you want to ever be picking. So make sure you use it, take advantage of it. You can trade up for less capital than you'll ever have to and go get your guy regardless.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard because I don't know if I view Jaden Daniels as a top 5 pick yet. I think he's eventually going to be my quarterback 3. I right now I have it as Drake May 1.
You don't even have him as top 3 right now.
No, I think that Bo Nix is better than him. I think that Bo Nix has played in
West Coast bias.
No, because he's an Auburn guy. Come on. So Jaden Daniels is a West Coast guy too. He's Arizona State and California. So I right now value Bo Nix, and people aren't going to like that take. I think that Bo Nix he's experienced everything. He's played in the SEC and the Pac-12. He's played pretty much every team. He's been effective where he's been. I also like Michael Penix. Like, I'd be fine with any 5 of those guys. It doesn't matter who I have at quarterback 3. I'd be fine with any of those guys. I think Penix throws a great deep ball. I think why Penix is going to fall is because he's had so many injuries, but I think that he's experienced. He throws a great deep ball. He does great pre-snap reads. He anticipates throws. I think Bo Nix, same thing, has a great arm, not as good as Caleb Williams and Drake May. So I'd be fine with any of those guys. I don't know if there's a guy that I would take top 5 other than Drake May or Caleb Williams right now. That's why it's like, if you can't get one of those guys, then you take a franchise left tackle in Olu Fashanu. That's a guy that is going to be a franchise left tackle for whatever team he gets picked for. Or you take Marvin Harrison Jr. if he's available, right? You take him, and it doesn't matter who he's with. I think that you'd have an opportunity to develop him. He's going to be one of the biggest receivers out there. He is so good at getting off press. What he does is just incredible. So then you get him, and then maybe you trade up into the first round and get a guy. Or maybe you go sign Russell Wilson. I mean, I'm not saying go do that. I'm just saying there's going to be options, right? No one thought Russ would be cut. Maybe you go get a veteran in Kirk Cousins, and it's a bridge year, because it's hard for quarterbacks to come in and make an immediate impact. So if you want to get an immediate impact guy, I don't think Drake May or Caleb Williams are going to come in and make an immediate impact. Yeah, they might win 6 or 7 or 8 games like CJ Stroud did, and you're going to have a bright future, which would be great. Then again, people were crapping on CJ Stroud throughout the draft process, saying he wasn't smart enough, he couldn't pass the W-2 test and stuff like that. So like you said, it's a crapshoot. So we don't know. I think that this is one of the deepest draft classes also, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. I would consider Malik Neighbors at the 4th pick. I know that he's kind of overshadowed by Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's incredible. If somehow you could get him and then, continue to develop or go sign Russ or something for cheap or whoever, and then find your quarterback. I don't know. Maybe they take Brock Bowers. I don't want them to take Brock Bowers just because I don't think a tight end in the top 5 is worth it. Joe Alt, Leatu Latu. Like, I think that there's more positional value than reaching for a quarterback. Now, if they go get Jaden Daniels, I'm fine with that. I'm not complaining. I just don't know
Sounds
if
like
I
you
think.
Sounds like you want sounds like you want another Mac Jones at the helm. That's what I'm kind of getting right here from you.
I think that Bo Nix and Michael Penix are great options. I do. And I don't know. Jaden Daniels I don't know. It's something about him. Like, he's fun. He's flashy. He does a lot of good things. It's also a little bit, I don't know. It just seems like too good. Like, it seems like it's not going to translate into the NFL.
Yeah.
Now, if it does, then he's going to be like, I don't think he's like as good of a runner as Lamar. He's a good scrambler. So I don't think he's going to come in and he's probably a better thrower of the ball than Lamar. So, like I said, like, I'm fine with any 5 of those guys as of right now. I see there's pros and cons to all 3 of Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix, in my opinion. But I'm fine with all 3 of them.
The only quarterbacks you'd be okay taking in the top 5
would be Caleb Williams or Drake. As of right now. Just because
everything's bound to change. Like, opinions are going to change. We're going to change our mind by the time April 20 whatever comes around. So
yes,
I totally understand.
The only reason I say that too is because the Patriots aren't a quarterback away, right? They need a franchise left tackle. So take Olu Fashanu. They need a number 1 receiver. So if Marvin Harrison Jr. is there and Drake May and Caleb Williams aren't, don't hesitate. Take Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, there's so many other big needs throughout the draft, and there's franchise players at the top of this draft that you can get. So I'm all for taking one of those guys if that's what it comes down to. And Jaden Daniels would be exciting. Like, Lowe's Talk Pats is saying, like, you probably would need a whole new coaching staff because I don't think
you're going to do it then when the whole coaching staff's getting wiped.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And that's a whole nother topic for discussion, who they're going to bring in. And, if they bring in Gerard Mayo, is it just going to be the same thing, just under a different voice, right? Because all Gerard Mayo knows is the Patriots way. Yeah. Same with Mike Vrabel. He seems a little bit more like, he's not hesitant to spend the money and stuff, but, he's a Patriot guy too. So really, I mean, if they bring in Ben Johnson, the OC from the Lions, or the OC from the Texans, and then get Jaden Daniels, and you're like, holy crap, this is going to be a fun offense. I just don't know if that's what's going to happen. If it does happen, I'm all for it. So I mean, I don't know. I'm as I sit right now, if the Patriots are drafting 4th overall, I don't know if there's a quarterback outside of Caleb Williams or Drake May I'd take. I'd rather get Olu Fashanu or Marvin Harrison Jr. if available. But I do agree with you that if you have a guy, 1 or 2, like, if they think it's Drake May, you do what you need to move up from 4 to pick 2 and get him. Now, I think that Chicago takes Caleb Williams. I honestly think Arizona takes Marvin Harrison Jr.
I was going to say, everybody's talking about how it's a lock that Arizona's going to take a quarterback.
No. Now, if they do take a quarterback, would you not want to trade for Kyler Murray? Because I think Kyler Murray's shown enough to off of his ACL that the Patriots should take a chance on him. I would. I'm just saying, if they do and they move on from him, I would take a chance on Kyler Murray.
It depends what it costs. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but
I think if Arizona does take a receiver, I think Washington goes Drake May, because I think Sam Howell has shown flashes, but he's been benched, obviously. So for me, if the Patriots are sitting at 4 and those 3 guys are off the board, I'm fine taking Olu Fashanu. We'll talk about the trade down scenario, which is not fun at all because you got to get a top tier guy. I don't want him to trade down, but if Bill Belichick's at the helm and there's no one on the board that he likes, you know exactly what he's going to do. So
probably going to trade down even if he does.
But I agree with you. If Drake May's the guy and Arizona wants to get more draft picks, you could probably trade up from 2 to 4 and give them a second rounder maybe, and then maybe 1 more first. It would cost 2 firsts and a second, maybe 2 firsts and a third. You could get up from 4 to 2 and take Drake May.
I
So,
would hope you wouldn't have to trade a first round pick to get.
I think you would. I really do think you would, because I think Arizona would know that you're jumping over Washington. Like, and maybe the Giants are trying to jump up from 4 to, like, that's the other thing too, is like the Giants might want to jump up for Drake May, right?
But you don't think that Arizona would prefer to have, say the draft order stays as is, say we're 4.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that Arizona would prefer to drop down just 2 spots and still get a shot at Marvin Harrison Jr., seeing how Washington's probably going to go with the 3rd quarterback available, whether that's Jaden Daniels or maybe they trade down as well. But I would think Arizona would, if they're not taking quarterback, I would think they want to take Marvin Harrison Jr. But if they are going to trade down and get some capital, I think it's a perfect opportunity to do that, but also not trade down a ton, but still get your guy. So I think there's, obviously they hold the upper hand in leverage purposes.
Yeah.
But I think that would be smart on their part as well, just to go down a couple picks and still be able to get your guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would cost I mean, ideally it costs, because if you could trade up from 4 to 2 and keep your 2nd round pick, then and lose a 3rd, that's perfect. Like, I would go up from pick 4 to 2 for well, obviously you'd be trading pick 4 and then our first next year and a 3rd round pick. I would trade those 2 for pick 2 and Drake May in a heartbeat. Now, I think that it would be a little bit more, because I think that there's going to be teams like you could have, like I said, the Giants wanting to come up. So you might be in a bidding war with them, then. So yeah, I think it would benefit the Patriots that they're not that far behind the Cardinals. So maybe, like you said, they are going to be like, hey, we have a chance to still get who we believe is a generational talent. We can pair him with Kyler Murray, blah, 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 at pick 4 and gain an extra first. Then yeah, that probably is a little bit better of a situation there. But the last thing you'd want is, for the Giants to jump up ahead of you and take Drake May at pick 2 just because you weren't willing to throw in an extra first. If Drake May is going to turn out to be like CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow or one of those guys, and how how easily they've transitioned to the NFL, you give up that first in a heartbeat. There's no doubt about it. That will never be a question in Patriots fans' mind if Drake May turns out to be one of those guys. So that's how I would say right now. If they don't trade up and they sit at pick 4, I don't know if there's a quarterback I'd want to take as of right now.
Where would you be okay? Like, what pick range would you be okay for a Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels?
I think Bo Nix and Penix are farther down the list. Like, I don't think I'd take them in the top 15. So maybe that's an option where New England takes a guy at pick 4 and wants to trade. If one of them falls, maybe to the late 20s or mid 20s, maybe they trade back up into the 1st round and take him. Maybe that's an option. I don't know.
What about Daniels?
I like I said, I think Daniels is going to be, someone mentioned it. Oh, it was Los Pat's talk in here. He said he thinks that he's going to be this year Anthony Richardson. I really do believe Daniels is going to be he's probably going to be top 10. I don't know. I think that's where he's going. I don't think I would take him top 10.
Okay. So
right now, probably not.
Top 15, top 20 for you?
Yeah, I would take him. Like, if I'm sitting at Vegas, pick 13, I'd take him right there. I would take Jaden Daniels to the Raiders at pick 13.
Interesting.
So
I think
I
by
do
the
believe
time draft day
will
rolls around, you'll be top 5 train.
Yeah. I don't know, because I didn't think Anthony Richardson should have been top 5, and I still don't know if he should be. Like, he's shown flashes, but
I think Jaden Daniels is a better prospect than Richardson.
Yeah, well, then again, Jaden Daniels was a Heisman Trophy winner, and Anthony Richardson started 15 games and never completed over 60% of his passes. So, yeah, I mean, I can agree with you on that one. So, I don't doubt that he's going to crawl up there into the top 10. I'm not sure if I'm sold on it right now.
Okay. This is a good question from Carlos here. If all 3 quarterbacks go top 3, would you rather they take Marvin Harrison or one of the tackles, whether it's
Marvin Harrison
Jr.?
If Marvin Harrison Jr. is on the board and we pass on him, I guess that's a loaded question, right? If there's Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May. Because I think Caleb Williams is gone pick 1, and I don't think there's a chance we get that. If it's Marvin Harrison Jr. and anyone else other than Drake May or Caleb Williams, and they don't take Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm going to cry. Because he's a generational receiver. Like, people, and this is overreacting, but people have said he's a lock to be a Hall of Famer. Just what he does for his size, 6'4", 205 pounds.
We had the same conversation with the Bengals, Penei Sewell or
Jamar Chase.
Chase.
Yep.
And look how that worked out.
Yep.
Go ahead, keep going.
No, I think he's like we're talking about generational quarterback prospects. Talk about a generational wide receiver prospect. Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to come in and be a top 10 receiver day one. And I think that if you take him and somehow find a way to get a quarterback and that can get him the ball, I think that it's going to be special. Like I think he's going to be like Justin Jefferson, instant special right off the bat. Like he's going to come in and make an immediate impact. Jamar Chase special.
I'm just hoping we don't ruin him because
that's the other
coaching
concern
staff
too.
with wide receivers is brutal. But
yep,
I'm not super interested in trading for Justin Fields. I wanted him when we could have taken him.
No.
But I don't think he's shown enough consistency. He shows some flashes, but Commanders want Caleb Williams.
I mean, I think there's like 30 teams in the NFL that want Caleb Williams.
Yeah. What about
like
Brock?
I would say Miami probably wants Caleb Williams over Tua. Maybe I'm saying wrong. I mean, if I'm Miami, I'm taking Caleb over Tua.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe obviously Kansas City wouldn't, and Baltimore probably wouldn't, and like San Francisco would take Caleb Williams over Brock Purdy. I think. I'd say he would. I don't know. I'm just speaking out, but yeah.
I don't think Brock Purdy's a top 10 quarterback, so I think
Caleb. Yeah,
I think they probably would take him. What about Brock? I don't think there's any chance I don't think there's any reason the Patriots should take a tight end with a top 5 pick. I mean, they have so many other needs, and tight end is not at the top of that list. They need a tight end, but it's not important as a tackle or quarterback or wide receiver.
Yeah, if I'm like LA, the Chargers at pick 6, or Tennessee at pick 7, or maybe even Chicago at pick 8, right? You have DJ Moore. Say you take Caleb Williams. I would take Brock Bowers for sure in one of those picks, but not the Patriots roster situation right now. I mean, they need a number 1 receiver. Like I said, you can sign Hunter Henry back again, and I think he serves a great purpose. I think
the Jets too. You're trying to add to the Aaron Rodgers firepower. Their defense is great. I mean, they're probably not going to draft the quarterback with Aaron Rodgers still being there because he's going to cry like a little baby. But they're good at wide receiver. Grab a tight end like Brock Bowers, a playmaker. So I think that could be a good spot for him if he falls down there.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. So
who would be their left tackle heading into next season if they don't take one in the top 5? You would have to take one in the early second round. That has to be your next pick because the free agent tackles are not good. I think Trent Brown is listed as the number 2 best free agent tackle, and number 1 is a old man. So I don't think that's free agency is going to be your best route there.
Yeah, and I think tackles are going to kind of start flying off the board. They always seem to towards the back half, like because you can never have enough tackles, enough bodies. There's a couple guys that project to be better guards in the NFL. Duke has a guy, Graham Barton. He projects to be a guard. Same with Troy Fontenot. He projects to be a guard. So guys in the second round that you're looking at: Jordan Morgan out of Arizona, 6'6", 320. Patrick Paul, 6'7", 315 out of Houston. Tyler Guyton, 6'7", 327 out of Oklahoma. So there's guys in the second round, and that's the other good thing is Patriots are going to be picking early second round. So it's going to be like day 2 starts. They're going to be able to get him. So I mean, I think there's guys in the second round that you can get at left tackle and start them right away. I don't think you just don't see good left tackles hit the market very often in the NFL because they can't afford to do that to their quarterback. Like good left tackles usually always get re-signed. So that's why you got to kind of find one throughout the draft. And there's going to be options early second round, not, Joel All or Olu Fashanu type of guys, but there's going to be options there for the Patriots, I think.
And Carlos just kind of asked here, so who would be the quarterback in that situation? So,
well,
best case scenario, you either take a quarterback in the top 5 or you trade up and grab one. So say they trade up, take Drake May at 2 or 3. Okay. Then your second round pick, if you can still have it from the trade, go grab a starting left tackle. After that, go sign a T. Higgins in free agency. That's kind of what you hope, or trade capital for a different one if you can't get a guy like T. Higgins. But you got the money. There's no reason you shouldn't go find a way to get a wide receiver 1 this offseason. And I know Belichick doesn't believe in that, but if he's not here, hopefully that will actually change for the first time in forever.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you go out and you sign or you draft a quarterback first round, right? Drake May. Let's just say Drake May, ideal situation. They have the most likely. Yes. Like you have to find
what we just said.
Yeah, you have to find a receiver in free agency or a trade. That's the most ideal situation for the Patriots, right? Or you go out and you sign Mike Evans. I think that it's a guy that we've wanted to. Yeah, I mean, he's been a guy that his contract's up, and I think he goes back to Tampa Bay just because of how good he's been. But the dude's never had less than 1,000-yard game or season, right? There's going to be guys like Calvin Ridley, right? He's going to be a free agent. I don't know. Maybe they bring him back. I don't know if he's played good enough or to the level they wanted to. So, maybe he's a guy. T. Higgins is up. Michael Pittman Jr. is up. I don't think he hits it, but maybe you go trade for one of those guys or someone. So yeah, I think that that's the most ideal scenario. Draft Drake May somehow, or Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix or Michael Penix, whoever the Patriots believe it is, get a tackle in the second round. And then you're able to find a way to draft someone else to trade for the receiver. I don't think that there's a clear, obvious way the Patriots complete all those ones just because of we've never seen the Patriots do it. So that's the only hard thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Free agency will be before the draft, so you'll have a good idea where their needs are. But yeah, hopefully they get one. They haven't got a wide receiver one in so long. Do it right this time. Like, do right by your young quarterback. If you're going to draft one in the top 5, get him a wide receiver one, get him a left tackle, and let's see where this thing goes. I'm super excited about some of the top prospects. I really was disappointed that we fell from 2 to 4 because you're guaranteed one of the top quarterbacks at 2, whether it's Drake May or Caleb Williams. Can't really lose there. Hopefully we find a way to squeak back up into the top 3, but I really think we're going to beat the Jets, and I don't know, fall into the 6th pick, 5th pick is not ideal, but hopefully they end up with one of the top 3 quarterbacks. I think I'd be okay with Jaden Daniels being taken in that top 5, but
yeah. I mean, and like I said, I might get to that. Like, I'm not saying I won't. I might get to that point where Jaden Daniels is there, and I really do think he will get to my quarterback 3. I don't know. I'm skeptical on him right now, and there's some things I value that Bo Nix and Michael Penix do, but Jaden Daniels he's going to be the biggest beneficiary of the combine and pro day, and he's been the biggest beneficiary of this year, right? Like, he's kind of had like a Zach Wilson emergence throughout the season, right? Like,
oh, don't say that.
Well,
don't say that.
I'm just saying, at least he played in the SEC and he didn't play during COVID, so he wasn't playing, nobodies. But that's the one thing is, like, he's had the year where no one thought he was going to be a first-round pick and has a Heisman type year, maybe one of the best statistical seasons in college football, and now he's looking to be a top 5 pick. So yeah, I have no doubt. Like, I'm not saying that I'm not saying I wouldn't take Jaden Daniels. Like, he's probably the most electric quarterback in this draft. Like, he's so fun to watch.
Oh yeah, his tape is.
I don't know.
You turn on his highlight reel. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's an exciting player to watch. But everybody looks good in their highlight reel, so watching the tape is still exciting as well. But
yep, we'll
see where it ends up.
No, so yeah, we appreciate all you guys, everyone from Instagram that joined us. Appreciate it. We're gonna do this more. If you guys are on Instagram, you guys can flip over to the YouTube. It's in our link. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post videos on here at least once a week. We're going to be doing mock drafts. We're going to be doing live, and we're going to be going live with our Instagram audience way more just because StreamYard just added that feature. So we will be doing that, and hopefully they add the feature where we can pull your Instagram comments in. As of right now, you can't do that. We can only pull in the YouTube comments. So hopefully they add that throughout the draft process, and we're able to kind of talk to you guys more, and hopefully you guys like this. But again, yeah, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel to show us support. So excited to be back, Cole. It's been a bummer season, but I mean, it gives us a lot more to talk about in the offseason when, we're picking top 5 and have $100 million to sign in cap space.
Absolutely. I mean, the draft is the best time of the year anyways, unless you're in the playoffs. But
yeah,
I'm excited. This is going to be the highest we've picked in our Patriots fandom since I'm sure we can actually remember.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. I mean, obviously the season sucks, but you really hope something good comes out of it and we can end up with one of those top guys and watch a generational prospect, a top 5 caliber player, watch him develop for the future, because nothing's more exciting than that to me. I mean, that's my favorite part of sports is watching young guys develop and having these huge potential swings one way or another of what this player could be, and seeing those people develop into their potential is super exciting to watch. Like baseball, football, that's my favorite thing about this sport and following it. So, but yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. We appreciate it. We're going to try to be more consistent, especially as the season wraps up and we get into the draft and like Jay said, doing mock drafts and everything. So go follow his Instagram, follow mine, and subscribe to the YouTube, like, comment, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.